are people in?
I think it's safe now.
Yes.
Just waiting for 2 more minutes and then we'll start. A warm afternoon to you, Gail. I see Gail, I see Elise, I see Nikki, I see Nina, I see V, Kudzi. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Hello, Brenda. Good to see you again.
Thank you so much.
You look so warm and cozy in that jacket.
Easy. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Peggy. Yes. All right. So it's exactly almost 12:59. I'm just waiting for it to be exactly 1, then we can start. Yes, it's exactly 1 o'clock. Thank you everyone for coming in to our lunch and learn. Welcome to our Beer Advisory Lunch and Learn, where we'll undertake conversations that will unpack leadership lessons from Top Gun, Leave No One Behind. I'm your hostess today, Brenda Horuza, the CEO and founder of Beer Advisory, an innovative forward-looking firm consisting of chartered accountants and registered auditors. Our objective is to unravel world-class solutions to assist in running profitable, sustainable businesses. We provide the expertise to navigate through a myriad of accounting, auditing, taxation, and advisory needs to small and medium-sized enterprises. Our speaker today, Yoke, is a distinguished Toastmaster. She's an international NLP practitioner and the founder of Y Connect, a business whose objective is to create meaningful workspaces for leaders and teams by helping businesses uncover their purpose. She has grown and transformed leaders of different companies into something extraordinary. Yoke, it's good to have you this afternoon, and thank you for joining us. Over to you.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to be here. And it's the second time that I'm with Be Advisory. And for today, we're going to be delving deeper into lessons, leadership lessons from Top Gun, Leave No One Behind. Because I was so ultimately inspired by this movie, I just had to share some insights about it. So what is Y Connect about? The first thing I want you to do is I want you to quickly take your cell phone and connect with me on LinkedIn. This is my QR code, and I would love to engage with you. Afterwards, we will also be sharing some notes and things. So if you're connected with me on LinkedIn, you'll be able to get all of those. So please take a photo or connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to engage with you further after today. So what is my firm Y Connect about? Y Connect is really a company that's about helping leaders and teams create meaningful workspaces. And it's ultimately about helping a team to uncover what is their own individual purpose, what is the team's purpose, and how do they fit into the bigger purpose of the company. And what we do to enable teams and leaders is we grow their confidence, we help cultivate a growth mindset, we teach them how to influence, and we get them in flow. And how we do this is really looking at all of these areas, which you'll see, including time management, planning, negotiation, self-actualization, emotional intelligence, negotiation, and communication skills. Can I please ask the co-host to just mute so that we only have sound coming from one avenue? Thank you so much. So what I want to do is I want to just share 2 two short little clips during the session with you from the film Top Gun, in case you haven't watched it.
Everyone here is the best there is. Who the hell are they going to get to teach us?
So if you are a leader in business, you are probably the best. You've probably arrived either as a leader in business because you were the best at what you do, or you were the best at negotiations, sales, influence. Possibly you were the best in a specific industry, but you were the best at what you do. And what you'll find if you're the best, especially if you're technically the best, that doesn't necessarily immediately turn you into a leader. So today I wanted to talk to you about the journeys, the hero's journeys that Maverick, the character that Tom Cruise played in Top Gun, had to go through to really step into a leadership position, and also the struggles that he had. Because the very first thing that he realized is, yes, they chose him to be the leader because he was one of the very best fighter pilots they had, but also because of his veteran fighting experience. But then they actually wanted him to step up and teach. And that is very different when you're a leader versus you just doing the work yourself. So what you want to look at, what Maverick had to go through is he started off actually realizing that the mission control was sending these troops on such a dangerous mission that they didn't actually know that the people were actually going to come back alive. And him and the team came up with a common goal saying, we want to figure out if it's even possible, what will make it possible, and how can we get everyone home safely? So if you're a leader in business, what is your common goal? Have you figured out what your common goal is with your team members? And have you ever communicated this to them? Because the moment you get your team on your side and they understand what common goal you have, suddenly they start caring on a much deeper level, and they were starting to really trust him because he cared about their lives and how that would actually enable him to do the job. So the next thing that happened is they said to him, we don't want you to fly, we want you to teach it. So if you are a leader in business, you're going to have to step out from just being the person actually doing the job, but you're going to actually have to step into a role of teaching others what you know. And what I thought was a model that I wanted to share with you specifically is when it's a model that's used in NLP and in learning, and it explains it so well, which starts off with learning starts off with when you're teaching your team, it starts off with very low competence on the one side. People don't really have the skill, to very high competence on the other side. It starts with you being completely unaware. It's in your unconscious mind. You're not really consciously focusing on it, to being really conscious and being aware of it. So when we go through the learning paradigms, we usually start off at a spot of being very low in competence, having zero skill, but being completely unaware of what we don't know. So if you're a leader in business, you might find that your team are blissfully unaware that they suck. So when Maverick took over as the teacher of this group, they thought that they were the top of their class. They knew exactly what they were supposed to be doing. But what he had to do is he actually had to show to them that they don't know everything that he knows. And then you start actually becoming aware of your blind spots and your weaknesses. So they actually moved into the conscious incompetence. So you still might have low competence, but you're becoming aware, wow, I have these weak spots. I'm not aware of how I'm doing this. But now, ultimately, if you're training your team, if you're getting the processes out, if they know what to do, they get to a place of being consciously aware of what they should be doing. And eventually their skills level go up. So they have high competence, but they're blissfully aware of everything that they're doing. So when we get to this place, it's really exhausting. So I'll explain it to you in terms of, if you remember learning to drive a car. Originally, you didn't really know what you didn't know. So you were maybe driving around with your parents or with friends, and you didn't really you weren't completely aware of what goes into driving a car. So you were unconscious, you weren't aware of what's going on, and you had zero skill of driving a car. Then you went into the place of, oh my goodness, now I'm sitting behind the wheel. I've just made the clutch fail. I'm trying to drive up a hill and it's not working. Oh my goodness, I've nearly gone over the pavement. Suddenly you start being aware of your blind spots. Suddenly you're actually conscious of your low skills level. Now you're going for driving lessons. Now you're trying things out. Suddenly you were aware of all the observations you need to do, the steps you need to take. You're very aware that you need to do clutch control. You're very aware of all the things that they're going to ask you in the test to do. But it's really exhausting because our brains can only cope with between 5 to 9 things that we logically hold in our brain. So once you've done that, and that's what Maverick was working on with the team, is to get to that final level of unconscious competence. So that's really where you've actually forgotten what you know. It's become a strategy in your brain. You're completely in flow. So if you watch the film Top Gun, he kept on saying to Rooster, stop thinking, just do. But had he not gone through the rigorous process of training and had the training not been embedded to become an unconscious competence, he wouldn't have been able to do that. So I hope that this model will encourage you to realize that possibly if you are the best at what you do and you were promoted into leadership or you started your own business, there is a lot that you've forgotten that you know that others really don't know, and that you need to actually get it out of your head, put it in processes, put it in videos, and train people on it so that they can also get to that point of conscious awareness with a high skill to finally move into a place where it's second nature for them. So we have to go through all of these phases to actually get to unconscious competence where you want to get to. So I was coaching a lady from Kenya the other day, and I heard a very interesting story. And she said to me that a client that she was working with is in the wildlife conservation space, and they spent hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars on a video educating the staff about wildlife conservation. And this video was on repeat, showing in the staff cafeteria on the television for nearly a year. And the other day, the owner's husband went and did a spot check on one of the staff and asked him, tell me a bit more about this footprint campaign. What is wildlife conservation? And this guy stumbled over his words. And they were so shocked, thinking that they've done so much effort in what they think is great communication, a video. But do you know that it takes maybe 5 to 20 times before a message sinks into someone's head? And people have different learning styles. So some people might need to see a picture. Some people need to see a graph. Some people need to listen to an audio clip or listen to you talking through what wildlife conservation is about. But others need to be kinesthetic. They need to actually feel it and try it out. So in Maverick, the movie, they were doing a bit of all of that. If you were seeing them, sometimes they were up in the air. They were literally doing the tumbles and the turns, but sometimes they were actually sitting in a classroom, analyzing video footage, looking at different strategies, drawing things out, talking about things. So when you're training your people, don't just stick to a visual image or sending an email. Actually try to incorporate as much of the different learning styles and know that it's going to take a while for people to actually get what you're trying to say to them. And then what you need to do is you need to test and assess. So what Maverick did incredibly well when he went up the first time with his crew is he was testing and assessing what their skills level is. But now what I want to show you is Tom Cruise actually really impressed me as well, because he went through a really rigorous training program that he specifically designed for the crews. And what he did is he realized that in order for the actors to be really proficient, they needed to know G-forces. They needed to be able to resist the vibrations of the aircraft. They needed to survive a water landing should they need to dispatch underwater. They needed to have spatial awareness, and he needed to teach them cinematography and lighting because they were actually in the airplanes during the filming of the movie. They were with real Navy Top Gun pilots, so they weren't flying themselves, but they had to actually go through all of those motions themselves. Furthermore, they had to actually turn on the cameras. And sometimes it was at least an hour before anyone could see what the footage looked like after they came down from shooting it. So I want to show you just a short little video clip about the rigorous training program that Tom Cruise put the actors through to be able to, after 3 months of training, to be able to shoot this movie and not blank out or throw up on a camera.
We are cleared into the area. Verify cameras are on. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Here comes some G's.
There's 5 Gs.
16.
7 Gs.
All right, that was awesome.
I wasn't ready to make a sequel until we had a special story worthy of a sequel, and until technology evolved so we could delve deeper into the experience of a fighter pilot.
The first movie became something that changed a generation. So this is exciting to come back and get in those jets again.
We worked with the Navy and the Top Gun school to formulate how to shoot it practically. Because if we're going to do it, we're going to fly in the F-18s.
The aviation sequences had to be real. So our actors went through 3 months of grueling training.
The Navy says if you eject, you have to be able to survive in the water. So we had to go through that challenging underwater program.
It's intense. You're flipped inverted and you're having to try and get out.
From there, Tom designed this all-encompassing aviation training for all the actors.
I started them out in a single-engine airplane to build up their spatial awareness inside the aircraft.
Oh, wow. That's amazing! Oh, my God!
Next, we took them to the L-39, and they went and flew aerobatics to feel what it's like in a jet.
Get some speed. Wow.
From there, they'd graduate to the F-18 Super Hornet and actually launching off an aircraft carrier.
That's what I'm talking about.
The actors also had to learn how to run the cameras because when they're up in the jet, they have to direct themselves, essentially.
Okay, I'm rolling.
I had to really teach them cinematography and the lighting so that they understood what's going to look good on camera.
Gun angle's great.
Everybody thought it would be impossible for actors to really be in the jets. But that's the gift that Tom gave us, that by the time we got up there, we could handle it.
Definitely the most amazing thing I've ever done. All the training, 100% prepared us.
I'm very proud of what we all accomplished. Each one of them are extraordinary.
It still blows my mind that we've done this. There's nothing like it.
So what type of training do you offer your teams to really set them up for success? So the next thing that Maverick did really well is he was able to turn it into a game or a challenge. If you want to get your team on board, you want to make sure that you challenge them or turn it into a competition because people love to be challenged. So what he said, if they can shoot him down or get above him in the air, that person will do 100 push-ups, and they all ended up doing it. So can you turn anything into a game? And we know one of the most successful companies in the world is Discovery with Vitality. The reason why they've been able to change people's behavior, whether it's with banking or exercise or whatever it might be, is because they've turned it into a game. People love games and people love challenges. But what he also did is he actually helped them to build to become a team. So one of the scenes that was quite interesting was where they were playing football on the beach. And one of the top managers came to him and said, "What are you doing? They have to be in the air in a week's time." And he said, "We're getting into a dogfight and we need to," excuse me. "We need to pull together as a team." So he went above and beyond to actually create a teamwork environment for them. And ultimately, he created certain core values. So as a team, they're actually going to get into that unconscious competence where if your team doesn't know what their core values and beliefs are, what are they going to fall back on? So when Maverick was actually forced to be part of the team and fly as part of that final mission, he was shot down, and one of his team members actually went back to fetch him. So what are the core values that you are teaching your team that they can fall back on if you're not around? What he also did without of his own acclaim is he had a sponsor. So Iceman was his sponsor. It was a co-worker that actually trained with him in the first Top Gun movie that had now moved up the ranks. And he really believed in Maverick's capabilities and actually spoke up to him and got him this job because he really believed in him. So do you have a sponsor at work? Do you have someone that actually puts you forward in board meetings? Or do you sponsor certain team members? Do you actually try to elevate people's status and bring them forward or talk them up for promotion opportunities? So having a sponsor is that person that will speak up for you when you're not in the room. And ultimately, as a leader, he was able to think outside of the box in a sticky situation. So after he was shot down and his colleague came back for him, Rooster, who was also then shot down, they were in enemy territory and they managed to steal an old aircraft and fly back home. So can you encourage innovative thinking to come out of sticky situations? How are you developing the creativity of your team? What do you do to problem solve? What do you do in a crisis situation when load shedding hits and you are not able to do what you promised to do? So can you actually brainstorm possible sticky scenarios with your team so that you can come up with ideas for when those situations hit that you know what to do? So for our session today, what we've basically discussed is if you're a leader and if you're a leader like Maverick, it's not just about swimming in your own lane. It's about figuring out what is the common goal of the team. Maverick figured out that the common goal was to leave no one behind and to bring them home safely. Can you figure out what the common goal is of your team and can you communicate to them to really get buy-in on it? Can you, instead of just being the best and swimming in your own lane, can you now start delegating and teaching people what you know? Can you get those processes out of your head? Can you start taking them through those 4 paradigms of unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence to conscious competence and finally to that place where everything just flows? And can you not just assume that one learning style is going to cut it? Can you stop just sending emails and expecting people to learn from that, but also have actual in-person conversations, bring in audio, video, testing, physical activities? Can you make use of all of the different learning styles and realize that a message might take 5 to 20 times to really go into someone's mind? Can you also assess them and see their skills level and not make them feel bad about it, but grow them and coach them from that point? Can you then also look at building your team? So what they did in that football scenario is in Gallup, they actually speak about research that was done that companies that where an employee feels that he has a best friend at work, they have a 60% higher retention rate. So if you're able to people feel that they have friends at work, that they get along, that there's trust, that there's camaraderie, they'll probably want to work at your company for much longer. They'll be much more productive and they'll actually love it. So do you actually go out of your way to create team build opportunities for your team to really relate and respond to each other? Are there informal socials? And are there, sporting activities? What do you encourage for your teams to bond? I've forgotten to say gamify and challenge them. Try to find as many opportunities where you could bring in games and fun opportunities where teams can challenge off each other and grow in that way. And you'll actually see a massive increase in behavioral change. Can you work on your core values? Can you work on your core beliefs as a business? And can you actually get buy-in from the team as that's being developed? So that when you're not around, they'll come and fetch you if you were shut down. And finally, can you find a sponsor in your business that will also put you forward? And can you maybe act as a sponsor yourself that will sponsor other people and talk them up and get them promotion opportunities? And finally, can you be innovative and creative to think outside of the box in those sticky situations that you might not have anticipated, where you might have to make use of an enemy plane to get safely home? So I hope you've been inspired by Maverick from Top Gun, and I want to encourage you to connect with me. I have opened up a few time slots for Calendly links where you can connect with me, and I'll just put all of those in the chat box as well. But I hope that as a leader, even if you are the best, you can start being a teacher as well and start really empowering and caring about your teams. Thank you, Brenda.
Okay, that was great. I think I learned a lot of things from your presentation, especially the part about being technically the best doesn't necessarily mean you are a good leader, but you should be in a position to be a teacher as well. And also the aspect of having some core values within your business. And also the idea of being in a position to be able to delegate and teach other people to be the best like you. So thank you so much, Shoke, for that. I'm not sure, are there any questions from the from anyone within the team for Yoke to maybe clarify on some issues? Are there any questions? So from my side, I think, okay, I've got one question that I want to ask from your end. When you talk about sponsor, is it the same as having a business coach or a business mentor? Or it's something different?
So when you sponsor, it's when you are the sponsor of someone, you are positioning them within the leadership of the company in a different way. So what Asman did in the film, so Brenda, please go watch the film, but what Asman did is where others weren't believing in Maverick, played by Tom Cruise, Asman was the person that actually spoke to the leaders at the Pentagon and said, we need to bring this guy back. He's amazing. So Asman was the guy that was actually really believing in him and putting him forward. So if you are sponsoring someone else, it's you're in maybe a larger business and you're saying, who are the people that we could specifically help to put forward? So you're not necessarily just mentoring them, you're actually really talking them up in front of others that matters.
Right. Okay. Are there any other questions from the team? I think we've got 3 more minutes to go. If there are any questions.
Does anyone, what will you do if you have a team member that does not want to be part of the group? Hi, Elise. So it's all about that's where your team building has to come in, where you need to maybe get them out of the office environment and get them to participate in like a game. So what you see in the movie is they were all coming from different parts. They didn't trust each other. They didn't even know this guy. The top management said to them, Maverick is amazing. He's one of the best veteran fighters. They'd actually thrown him out of the bar the previous night. So already there was like a lot of antagonism going. And when they started flying together, it was also like they were very arrogant. And, you know, everyone was just going for what they can get out of it. And ultimately, what they had to do is when they were playing a game, they had to team up and be in two teams and pull together as a team. So try to see if there's not an environment where you can actually get them to play a game. But then also there is the opportunity of doing training. So I've done a lot of work with teams that were at ends with each other, hating each other, really low emotional intelligence. And through the work that we've done, they've started actually uncovering their own blind spots, seeing I'm not actually being a team player, I'm just being arrogant. And, you know, I'm just in it for myself, but maybe I need to actually focus on the team goal. So you could ask a lot of questions and facilitate them to get to that point. But ultimately, possibly you could look at one-on-one coaching. So, but book a session with me. I've got links there. So if you wanted to have a conversation with me, so I could tell you the type of things that you could do or what type of coaching could potentially help these people. Maybe there's a way that I could help you. But I've literally seen a group of people that were really antagonistic towards each other. The HR managers said they hated each other. They were like in the primary ground, you know, yelling at each other, backstabbing each other, get to a place where they were much more respectful, but also where they were like, you know, we're adults. We might not love everybody, but we have to work together. And what's the common goal? And how can we get there quicker? So when you navigate through that space of moving a person from a adversary into an ally, that's what you want to do. So you want to turn that person into ally, and it's actually figuring out what is that person's main goals and how can we align that to the group. I hope that's answering your question a little bit, but I've put the link there for my Calendly link, so you're welcome to book a call with me. I just wanted to know, did anyone else watch the movie, and was there something that you thought stood out before we say goodbye? Elisa's saying she loved the movie. Brilliant. So please connect with me on LinkedIn. I am going to be doing a talk on Monday as well on retaining your staff. So you're welcome to join this as well. It's going to be at 4 o'clock. So I'll just share that link with you guys again as well. But it was great fun being with you here again, Brenda. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And please connect with me. I would love to be of service to you. You're welcome to get a phone call or a Zoom call with me. I've opened up some dates for you guys for next week.
Wonderful. It was great having you, Yoke, within this session. It was very insightful, and I believe a lot of us gained a lot of hacks or ideas on how we can become a great leader. So don't forget to book your session with Yoke. And until our next lunch and learn, leave no one behind in your teams. Thank you so much, guys, and have a great weekend.